this next exercise, we're going to test the Cloudflow that we've created. And there are some little tricks to doing that. The first thing that I need to do is to actually navigate to get the URL of the app itself. Now I can head to Power Apps, make sure that I'm in the correct environment, so I'm in the personal productivity. I can now move across to Apps. I can see the device ordering app, but if I couldn't, I could type in device at the top, and you can see that I've made this app more than once. And then if you look on there, we can actually hit the 3 dots, and then we can go to the details for the app. And it's this web link that you would need to share with someone else. So I can go copy link address, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move into another persona so that we can actually test the function. So if you see here, I'm actually in as my test user. And what I can do is I can open a new tab, and then I can actually paste my URL in there. It's now saying, it's now asking me if I would like to connect to this. Now there is an issue here, interestingly enough, and that will be because the SharePoint list, I wasn't sure if it hadn't been shared with me, but it's actually okay. So in this case, we can click allow. So now that user can see all items, and you can start to see some of the potential issues that you might have here. What we can do now is we can hit the plus icon, put a device name in, and we'll say that it's a MacBook Pro, and we'll give it a price of, let's say, 2,000, and then click OK. You can see that it's been added, but nothing else has happened to that. We can see that it's a status of pending. What I can now do is switch back to Office 365. I can head to Power Automate, and I'm going to go to the approvals area of Power Automate. So I'm now going to hit the drop down and then click on approvals. We can see that I've actually received an approval, and I can select that item and I can actually approve it. I can then put some details in. Great, no problem, and then confirm. Click done, and that approval has gone all the way through. So we can actually go back to my flows, and we can do that in a number of ways. We could do it via Power Automate, or we could actually go direct through the flows here. We can see this is the flow that we created earlier on. And if we actually select the flow, then we can actually see that it runs. And interestingly enough, it's actually failed. But this does give us a good opportunity to go into the flow and see why it has failed. We can see that it was the condition that failed for us. So we can see it actually ran through this, but it was actually on the if yes where we had an issue. And the problem was that when we tried to send the email notification to say it had actually been approved, it was actually the to address was actually incorrect. So we would want to go into that email, into the construction of that email to make sure that it actually has the separator. Let's go onto the email there and add in the separator here. Now, we wouldn't be able to run this flow again because it's kind of gone all the way through. We can't reapprove something. So in order to test this fully, we would need to go back through the process again. So I'll click save on that. So I'm now in as tester. I can add an item, device name, and let's just call it Hello PC. And we'll just say it's 1,000. And we can click OK on that. It's gone through OK. Now when I return to Power Automate, I can now go to my action items. To be aware, this may not happen absolutely straight away. So we can go to the approvals and take another look at that. So we can see that there's actually new device order request for Hello PC, and we've got the option to approve it. We can actually see that if we look at the flows themselves, they're actually currently running. So if I go on to and select that flow, we can actually see it's currently running, and that's because we're still in the process of approving it. I can move on to there, I can click approve, fine, and then click confirm. And what that will do is it will make the flow run again. Click done, back to my flows, and then we'll look on there to see the extent to which it's gone through okay. Once more, it's failed. In fact, in this instance, it's got an issue because the mail connector is currently restricted for new tenants. So we need to be a bit careful on that. But that's not a huge problem, because what we can do is we can click edit, go onto the condition, go onto here, and what we can do is add an action and then type in email. And then what we can do is we can send an email, which is the V2 one, and then we can just do some copy and paste. And we should be able to copy these in here. Not quite. What we can do though is we can select add dynamic content, and then what we can do is we can, when an item is created by email, we'll just keep it simple. Your device has been approved, and then your device has been approved here as well. So I've just copied and pasted those things in, and then I'm going to delete that. But you can see it's quite straightforward to make amendments here. You can test this again, hit the plus, test PC. We'll make it 1100. Click OK on that. So we can see now that the flow has actually started, which means that if we go to the action items and then to approvals, then we'll be able to see that. And then we can click the approve on there, and we should be able to confirm that. No problems. Click confirm. And then click done. Then we can return to my flows, move back onto there, and we can actually see whether or not it's actually succeeded. You can see that on this occasion, because we use a different connector, it succeeded. And if we move on to the email for tester, you can actually see that that has actually been the case. If we now look at the app itself, I can hit the refresh on that because this was an earlier version. So now it's showing me the Hello PC. If I actually click on there, we can actually see the status is now showing as approved. And if we refer back to the flow, we can click on there and we can see that it has succeeded. We'll see all the steps that it took to go through that approval process. We can look at the condition. We can see it updated an item, and we can also see that we were able to send an email and to whom it was sent. So that takes us to the end of the lab on testing the Cloudflow. I'll see you in the next lesson.